Podcast 3, Parliamentary Procedure.
The ACR Council is governed by the Sturgis Code of Parliamentary Procedure, 4th edition. This code provides guidance on how individuals participate in the meeting and provides rules for conducting business. This podcast will provide some basic assistance on the use of procedures to assist councilors and members in participating fully in the AMCLC activities. The purpose of parliamentary procedure is to facilitate transaction of business and ensure a fair hearing of issues. Members have equal rights, privileges, and obligations under parliamentary procedure, and typically a simple majority vote decides. Parliamentary procedure is followed to protect the rights of the minority, enable full and free discussion, provide clarity of the issues under consideration, and ultimately to conduct business in fairness and in good faith. The Council develops standing rules at the beginning of each meeting that are utilized in conjunction with the Parliamentary Code. These rules are important to ensure equitability, efficiency, and effectiveness of the proceedings. The rules for debate vary between reference committee open hearings and the presentation of reference committee reports. Any member of the ACR may address the open reference committee. Non-members and guests may speak if recognized by the presiding officer. In contrast, during consideration of reference committee reports, typically only councilors are recognized to speak. Non-councilor members of the college or other individuals may be recognized or invited to address the council at the discretion of the presiding officer. Amendments to resolutions must be presented to the reference committees during the open session. Amendments may be presented electronically or in writing and must be accompanied by oral testimony. The reference committee will not consider submitted resolutions that are not accompanied by oral testimony. All proposed amendments must be submitted to the reference committee before they adjourn. Proposed amendments submitted after adjournment of the reference committee will not be accepted. The reference committee chair will strive to allow all members an opportunity to speak during the open reference committee hearing. To do so, the chair may limit individuals at the microphone to 2 minutes of presentation or less at one time on any one question. During the consideration of reference committee reports, the reference committee chair will present the resolutions as part of a consent calendar. A consent calendar is a package of resolutions that the reference committee has recommended for particular action. Resolutions may be extracted from the consent calendar for separate debate and consideration. The ACR treats policy resolutions, bylaws amendments, and practice guidelines and technical standards in slightly different ways. Amendments to policy resolutions may be made without specific limitations. Amendments to bylaws amendment resolutions may only be made if the proposed change is germane to the original amendment. Amendments to practice guidelines and technical standards may be introduced during the open reference committee hearings only. During the consideration of reference committee reports, no substantive changes to practice guidelines or technical standards will be considered. A simple majority is needed to pass a policy or practice guideline or technical standard resolution. Adoption of bylaws amendments requires a 2/3 majority. As noted earlier, reference committee reports will be placed on a consent calendar. Resolutions will be grouped according to recommendation action by the reference committee. The recommendations are as follows. For policy and bylaws resolutions, adopt, adopt as amended, not adopt, or refer to the Board of Chancellors. For practice guidelines and technical standards, adopt, not adopt, adopt as amended, restore original language, or refer to the Board of Chancellors. The consent calendar will be considered as an entire report. Any councilor may remove a resolution from the consent calendar to have it reconsidered. Absent removal, the motion on the floor will be the acceptance of the reference committee report. A vote in favor of the consent calendar will accept all of the recommendations contained therein. A parliamentarian is an expert in rules of order and the proper procedures for the conduct of meetings of deliberative assemblies. The primary role of the parliamentarian at the AMCLC is to be a resource for the presiding officer. The parliamentarian sits adjacent to the presiding officer and provides guidance and support during the meeting. The presiding officer can and should consult with the parliamentarian when not certain on how to rule on a question or how to proceed under certain circumstances. Who may speak? Any member of the college may speak during the open reference committee hearing. Guests and non-members may speak if recognized by the presiding officer. Only councilors may speak during the consideration of reference committee reports unless recognized by the presiding officer. How to address the reference committee? During the open reference committee hearing, any member may approach the microphone and wait to be recognized. Once recognized, he or she should state their name, affiliation, and whether they are speaking in favor or opposition to the resolution. If making an amendment, please note this up front and let the presiding officer know if you are submitting the amendment electronically or in writing. Non-members or guests should state their name and affiliation and ask permission to address the reference committee. During the consideration of reference committee reports, councilors may approach a microphone and, once recognized, state their name, affiliation, and whether they speak in favor or against a motion. The individual may opt to make another motion. Non-councilors may approach the microphone, be recognized by the presiding officer, and seek permission to address the council. While Sturgis provides several types of prospective motions that may be used while debating the reference committee reports or the individual resolutions, we will discuss some of the more common motions. Withdrawal. A motion of withdrawal can be used any time before the resolution is accepted as business of the council. The motion is typically made by the sponsor of the resolution. After the resolution has been referred to a reference committee, the resolution becomes the business of the council, and at that time, only with agreement from the reference committee and a majority vote of the council can a resolution be withdrawn. Refer. A motion to refer is made when a matter is to be referred to the Board of Chancellors. The motion should specify if a report is due back at a definite time, and all pending and adopted amendments are referred along with the resolution. When a motion is made to refer for decision, the Board of Chancellors determines what action is appropriate for the matter at hand. Limit debate or call the question. A motion to limit debate or call the question is a statement from the Assembly that it has heard enough debate on an issue and is ready to make a decision. This motion will only be accepted by the presiding officer if both sides have been heard on all pending matters. This type of motion requires a 2/3 affirmative vote. Amend. This commonly used motion is used to change or modify the wording of a resolution. The motion needs a second and may be further amended by another motion. The motion to amend needs a simple majority to succeed. Sturgis utilizes a parliamentary order of motions, which ranks the precedent value of each motion. The ACR provides a chart in its agenda book materials that provides the rank order of motions in Sturgis. The chart provides what the motion is, what you would say in making the motion, whether the motion allows you to interrupt the discussion, whether your motion requires a second, whether debate is allowed following your motion, whether your motion may be amended, and the votes needed for your motion to be adopted. Here is a visual representation of the chart previously explained. This chart is found in your agenda book materials. In addition, Sturgis provides incidental and restorative motions that arise as the discussion proceeds and need immediate decision. Once again, the ACR provides a chart of these incidental motions in the agenda book materials. Unlike the motions described in the initial chart, these motions do not have a rank order and may be introduced during the discussion of the motions before the council. Here is a visual representation of the chart previously explained. This chart is found in your agenda book materials. The ACR recognizes that as councilors, you are not likely experts in parliamentary procedure. Remember that the procedure is used to ensure orderliness and to protect the rights of all to be heard. Please feel free to contact ACR counsel or legal staff, members of the Council Steering Committee, or more experienced members of the Council if you have a question about how to make a motion. The Council is a place to help facilitate that your voice be heard. For those more adventurous councilors who are interested in learning more, you may pick up a copy of the Sturgis Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure, 4th edition, by Alice Sturgis. The final reflection of all actions taken by the Council during its annual meeting is published in the Digest of Council Actions. This resource is updated following the annual meeting and published on the ACR and AMCLC websites. The publication includes all active policies of the College over a 10-year period. The College requires that all policies undergo a 10-year sunset review before they are renewed to ensure that policies continue to reflect the will of the Council.